Preview. Preview.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. Got a little viewer question here. It says, let's see, we'll skip a very nice opening paragraph. So thank you very much. Always nice when people ask about how things are going, and so very appreciate that. So we'll get to the meat of the question. It says, okay, I started a new corporate job a few weeks ago. This is my first time working for such a large company. It's kind of easy to say where they aren't in the world than where they are. As someone who tried to break into comics for 15 years, it's insane how much money this business is willing to throw at new hires. I'm not saying this to brag, but it is baffling from the comic side to me. Not just payments, but benefits and perks. So this is an interesting point, and I've mentioned this before, that one of the things that would help comics quite a bit, that's pretty boring and pretty easy to do, is, and we'll get back to the question here, is if these big companies, in particular Marvel and DC, do have the cash to do this. How do we know this? Well, I mean, if they're able to work with Warner Media, put on Fandom, if they're able to hire pretty expensive executive people to come in and pretend to do marketing for a period of time, yes, they treat a lot of their entry level people with ridiculously low salaries and everything else. But the corporation has money. And in Marvel's case, Disney has an entire onboarding process I've seen firsthand that's pretty dramatic, pretty crazy. It certainly, to get people off on the right foot, they throw money at you, both with like, here's a backpack on your day one. Here's a computer case. By the way, here's a bunch of online training. Here's some stuff that we want to do. Here's a mentor that's been assigned to you for the first 3 months to make sure you get off on the right foot. All of these things would be very helpful to get comics in a better place. And I would say if they had the money, and they do, doing some level onboarding for independent contractors also would be a good idea. Here's how we submit things. Here's how, here's some things not to say on social media to make you not sound like a crazy person. I mean, just some basic information. For what it's worth, Disney, and I'm pretty sure Warner Media, but certainly I know for a fact Disney, does do this whole like, here's how not to get into a bunch of trouble online. I mean, that's a class. So why can't, they're not onboarding new Marvel people every 2 weeks. So, can they invite people to that class? Like, hey, we have a couple extra chairs and it's all virtual anyway now. Can we have a couple extra people on Zoom phone in here and give you some little tips on how not to get fired? It seems like a good idea. But anyway, and like the person writing this question and says, it's a lot of money, and it's designed to say, hey, we're investing in you. Now you invest in us. And that's the entire idea. Anyway. Back to the question. Is it just me or the big two, the mouse and the phone company, the mouse and the phone company, I like it, don't really have faith in Marvel or DC? It feels more and more like strip mining than growing a business. I could be wrong, and will give up this hill with zero effort, but I've never heard either of them putting any real money behind these businesses. Sort of. They do put real money behind it, just in very, very strange places, but and certainly not the people. Does Marvel have a stronger benefits package since Disney bought them? Yes, they do. I'll get more into that in a minute. What projects are they doing to help other departments grow and make money? If comics are really R&D, why isn't there a Matrix comic or some of the newer Disney animated IP out in comics? Okay, several questions there. Yes, they do have a stronger benefits package than they used to have. Although, to be fair, I think Marvel's had benefits that have changed a lot. And I'm talking full-time, by the way. Independent contractors not get anything. But the full-time employees, there were periods in the 70s where I've heard the benefits were pretty good, and then the 80s where they weren't, and then the 90s where they sort of were again, and they definitely weren't after bankruptcy. It was all up and down. But from when Disney took over, there were a bunch of benefit services that seemed to get better than what, and at least this is what I've been told, than what Marvel had in the past, because they were basically able to leverage some of the parent company. But not as much as, say, members of Parks and Resorts or the Imagineering group get, again, from what I've heard. And then what projects are they doing to help other departments grow and make money? Disney's weird, in particular. AT&T is too. They will invest in things that they believe have strong growth, and then they'll leave other things alone. And it certainly seems like leave other things alone has been the approach of both of these two. And it's definitely a one-way street. The movie people have been able to come in and kind of use the word strip mine, that's not bad, basically pull properties out, but it hasn't flown the other way. Marvel, I know, at times has tried to go in and get properties that Disney owns via Fox, and it's been a completely bumpy and near impossible road. And part of that's because Disney, at least, has licensed out stuff everywhere. So it's in some cases they don't have the ability to just hand the license over to Marvel, even though they own them, because they've already promised it to somebody else, or these rights are very, very tangled. Disney is made a lot of their money and success from licensing, and so that's where a lot of that stuff has gone. Anyway, um, I might be wrong, but it seems like we are kind of just going along since either of these companies shut down the publishing. The public outcry would be large. I'm not saying they should, but both the mouse and the phone company have shut down other companies, from game studios to TV channels, to save the costs. Like I said, at best, this feels like strip mining as much IP as they can. Yeah, it does, and I mean, we should be under any illusions about the game that's being played here. I think Disney doesn't own Marvel, and I got into an argument with a couple people, pretty big name people, over this because there's to me there's not emotion in this. There is as a fan, but from a business perspective, there isn't. The game is Disney bought Marvel. When they bought Marvel, their idea was we can own some of these properties. I believe the Iron Man movie had come out with Paramount at the time this was Marvel got bought. I think that was around it was around the timing. So there was at least some sense that, hey, there's a decent movie business here. We can package things up. We can make a return on investment. They were not buying Marvel to get into the comic publishing business. Same thing with AT&T and T and Warner Media and DC and that kind of chain. That wasn't the plan. Now the comic business, that doesn't mean they hate the comic business. It means they don't think about it very much. It means somewhere there's a line item that says it costs us very, very little to let this little division continue to plunk along, and they keep brand awareness out, and they ultimately feed us IP. Marvel, again, I suspect DC is the same, but I know for a fact that Marvel has shown up on internal presentations as marketing, marketing and merchandise generation. That's how they view it. They do not view it as publishing. Now, marketing is a spend part of an organization. When you spend money on marketing, you don't get a profit off of it. Now, you do generally have some KPIs that are going to tell you, how well this marketing is working, and are you getting a return on the marketing that you're putting out? But the return is by benefiting other businesses. And right now, if you're Disney, you say, "Hey, I'm spending, 100 million." They're not spending that much, but keep it simple. We're spending, like, say, 100 million on marketing through the publishing arm, through Marvel Comics, and we're making, 2.5 billion in run a year off of media. So keep doing that. That's why they're not going to shut Marvel down, because it to them is effective marketing. Now, it doesn't mean some point in the future somebody doesn't come around and go, "Hey, I've got an even better way to market this stuff." Then so screw the comics. We're going to do it another way, and this will give us a better return. Could be, but the numbers for the publishing are so low. Somebody making that case, it wouldn't you wouldn't get promoted for making that case. You'd say, "Hey, let's stop spending, $1 to make $1 billion, and instead we can spend, $2 and make $1.5 billion." Like they would say, just spend the $3. Nobody cares. Just do both. If you have a great new idea, do it, but don't kill this publishing department that really costs us nothing and is, pencils out well in that aim. That's how they view it. Now, as a comic fan, you might hear that and just that's horrifying. But that's how they're viewing this department. I mean, it's just the reality of it. Love it or hate it, that's what's going on. All right, back to the mail. I'm not saying I want this, and I'm hoping Image, Dark Horse, and Boom can step up and we get some new life. Hell, I would love that the big two would, but time said differently. But I didn't get that sense. Anyway, I don't think they'll go away, but I don't think they're the beacon of where the industry is going. They're not. This is probably way too long for a video. It was not. But thanks again for all you do. You were looking for critique. I think you should do more videos once a week. Subject you want to talk about. Okay, yeah, cool. I know you enjoy trolling us about Arby's, but what are you passionate about? Yes, it's a good one. Anyway, some other stuff. So first of all, thank you for the mail. Thank you for the suggestion. And yeah, I mean, I toy with doing more personal stuff. Like, here's something that I really like, and I toy with it. And but at the end of the day, I always feel like I'm being somewhat arrogant and egotistical if I do things that are more for me. I don't know. Nobody wants to hear about that crap for me. I get weird, like even like when I have my kids on and I have them do videos. I'm like, nobody wants to hear my kids. I don't want to be that guy in the office who's like got pictures of their kids. Like, look, my kid won a swimming meet. I don't want to force any of that on you guys. So that's I was get kind of dodgy around that. But in terms of the comic business, Marvel and DC were bought by giant corporations to be marketing and IP generating arms to fuel additional licensing and merchandise opportunities in movies. That's the game that's being played, and it's been a very effective game for them. They've made a lot of money, and it's done well, and it's been a big success. And that's why if you're at the senior leadership of Marvel, or even more so Disney, and you see people on Twitter going, you're ruining these comics. What is this Squirrel Girl nonsense? What is it with Gabby Rivera's weird Spanish? That kind of stuff. It's nonsensical to those executives. They don't understand at all what people are talking about, and they do not care. And you could say that's sad, but look, these are numbers people. They're going, all right, movie business is up, dollars are good, more and more companies are coming to us wanting to license things. We're now in the driver's seat where we don't have to go and promote these movies. We don't have to go out there. I was having a conversation with somebody at Disney, and they were talking about kind of this transition period where, when a new property comes out, you have to feed it out into the market. You have to go to, like, say, McDonald's and go, look, we've got this Iron Man thing. Would you like to co-sponsor Iron Man? Would you like to, there's a licensing opportunity for you. And there's a whole little marketing pitch deck on, how this all works. And what's happened with Marvel is because the brand is so strong, they don't need to go and make the pitch deck anymore. They don't need to go to McDonald's and say, we've got Iron Man. McDonald's knows. It's the other way around. McDonald's reaching out to them and saying, hey, we hear you're doing another Iron Man movie. We desperately we want in on that. So how much is it going to cost? They can just sit back and let people come to them. It's a very good place for them to be. That part of the business is very healthy. And the annual reports and that kind of stuff are public. You can see it. There's not an indicator in there that the world's about to fall apart. There's not an indicator in there the movies are like. I see all these videos. The ones that it's not irk me. I just always roll my eyes at it. Where you see like, a picture of like Mickey and he's screaming, and then you see like a shocked emoji face and like a smug looking, pasty dude there grinning. And it's like, woke Disney about to implode, and it's like, first of all, that entire it's a cliche. This entire cover image, but they're looking at like when you're looking at like half the numbers, you're getting a very distorted picture. And I mean, we should all stop falling for bait from article. I see these articles get sorted like, we had a secret insider who was sitting in the Disney board meeting who let us know that there is harsh reaction to the new Doctor Strange movie. They saw an early cut, and they saw that America Chavez character, and they were like, what is this? And there was heads rolling. I've seen articles like that. And you look at it, you're like, all right, none of this is true. Sorry. How can we disprove it factually? Well, pretty easily. Disney has to publish their board meetings. We can see the date. Was there a board meeting in the last 60 days? There was not. Okay. Secret insider there showing a screening of Doctor Strange. All right. Well, let's look at, Doctor Strange is one of those movies, for example, that gets gets a loan or gets film credits in order to produce it. So that's a whole other video. How movies are funded. It's like, at the end of the movies where it's like, we thank the country of Germany. It's like, well, one of the reasons they do that is because Germany coughed up a bunch of money to anyway. That's a fascinating piece of business right there, by the way. Just as something to look into, like where some of this movie funding comes from, and why sometimes you see a movie and it's like, wow, it was unprofitable. It's like, oh, except it got $100 million loan from a country, as a result of filming part of it there, or whatever it happens to be. Anyway, the word loan is actually not the right word. It's like just money. Anyway, you could just piece this stuff together, and the story falls apart pretty quickly. If the just the basics of we this channel with 342 subscribers has a secret insider board spy at a Disney meeting. I mean, like, come on, But the sad part is, as a comic fan, you miss the days where you had the passion of like, we're going to put these comics out, it's going to be great, and we're going to sell them, and it's not, we're not trying to do some kind of triple play with a movie and a TV show and selling T-shirts. We're just making good comics, and sadly, it you know seems like we're done with that. Anyway, thank you for the question. Thank you for all the great comments, and thank you everybody for listening.